get everybody's attention again. And we'll do a very, very quick report out. And Greg, thank you. He's going to take some notes. Again, after each meeting, I write up a little synopsis that I'll make available to everybody. I also then write a letter to the mayors and city managers based upon that synopsis of the meeting, just kind of keeping them informed. And so, small group discussion number one. Normally, it would have been actually me reporting out from this, but I nominated and everybody agreed to have Ryan stand up and kind of repeat some of what you said and the work that you've done across the metro.
Yeah, sure. So typically on all the new developments that we do, larger than an acre, we use Tier 55. We've probably been using that for 10 plus years on everything. Problem with modified rational method is if you extend storm duration out long enough and hydroflow on that, you can get those release rates down low enough that it's not generating a true volume through the pond. So you can kind of make a smaller volume work on paper, but it probably doesn't reflect reality and how much volume is being generated. Tier 55 does a lot better job of not only generating those peak flows, but also modeling the actual volume in the hydrograph. So when you're routing through your detention basins, it's a lot more accurate.
And these guys said they would defer to the engineering community, so they're deferring.
We have no engineers over here.
Well, there was another little comment coming out of our group.
Sorry, go ahead.
From the cities, in terms of the output that you get from the models.
Oh, it seems like most engineers are using hydroflow or hydropad software anyway, and having that consistency of using those softwares makes it easier for us to review. And once you've set up those models, it's really just as easy to look at it from a rational method perspective as a TR55 or SES. So it's not like I don't feel like I'm asking most designers to do a ton of extra work by asking them to switch to a TR55 method because you've already got enough models.
They've already got to set up the models anyway. Yep. Yeah, so it's using a different method. Okay, sorry.
Ours is pretty much the same thought with TR55. A little more accurate for smaller sites for sure, especially to when you have multiple land uses in the drainage area and different kinds of concentration. So agree with using TR55.
I think pretty much would agree with what's already been said. Seems like more and more of the development is multi-use, and so being able to have that available makes a lot of sense to us.
Any other comments out of that group? Jack, your group?
Yeah, so yeah, we didn't see any reason not to use it. In fact, lots of us already are using it here. For some of the reasons we talked about, you said, a lot of us, we've been using it since 2008, 9, and one of the things we did talk a little bit about was, setting the parameters is kind of important to be sure that it's appropriate, even with TR55, and that, the reasons why people that have already adopted it have just had some catalyst thing happen, maybe doing a watershed plan or something, and so this process is a good catalyst for the metro to potentially just switch over to.
And we all get on it.
Yeah. Yep. And then, the only other thing is some training for the staff reviewers in the cities as we get into it, and also even for some of the other departments that aren't represented here, the development departments, et cetera, to understand why we're making the change and how it will make review simpler once we know the new method and everyone's using it.
Yep. And that's actually a good reminder, particularly if you haven't been present before, where we have discussed that at the end of this capital crossroads process, that there is the intent to provide training sessions both for city staff and also for any consulting engineers that are not up to speed on things. So that is the intent. Jonathan, your last one.
Overall, a lot of similar conversations. A couple maybe things we boiled down to or talked a little bit more in details. This idea of metro-wide, maybe focusing a little bit on TR55 for all detention analysis. There may be some scenarios where sizing intakes or site interior drainage design may be okay under other models, but definitely for the bigger, or really all detention analysis. And then we had some talk about the true importance of the reviewers and who's actually looking over this and making sure that they understand And then also, came up in our group, how some of this topic specifically may be departmentalized, like one department handles this and they may not be represented here. We gotta have that conversation with them.
Anybody else have just kind of any last comment before we jump on? If not, well, I'm going to ask Rachel if you would give us a lead in on our next small group discussion.
Want a PowerPoint? It's short, so I don't know.
And it should be on the desktop for you.
Yeah, so just kind of recap and give you the 411 on pre-settlement conditions and what that means for us with hydrology and all that. You know, essentially, it's a natural condition. It's what did this land look like before, you know, European settlers came and jacked it all up. So in Iowa, you know, that looks like mostly prairie, you know, maybe some wetlands and some woodlands, but this is a common graph, you've probably seen it before, but just showing that natural condition, only about 10% of that rainfall was converted to runoff. We get the highly urbanized situations and, you know, we're kind of over half of that being runoff. So that's a really big difference there. And then there are some pre-developed, pre-settlement, you know, what is the difference? Sometimes it's used interchangeably, but as SUDAS defines pre-developed, not quite the same, so I think we really want to hone in on that definition. SUDAS is saying, you know, what's the hydraulic and hydrologic site characteristics that existed prior to that development being proposed. So if it's row crops, that's before development, right? So why don't we want to go with that? It's not really acceptable based on what I think we've all witnessed in our watersheds. This is Walnut Creek, just almost all ag. We see vertical banks. A little bit upstream, but it's definitely all ag, vertical banks. And this doesn't work, basically. And so, you know, I'm an engineer, so we look at the numbers, talk about SES method as the most accepted method for hydrology. Even, you know, when farmers doing everything good, terracing and contouring, those curve numbers are still higher than our meadow or our prairie. And then I stole this from Stormwater Management Manual that Greg worked on. So we've got the blue, the prairie, and then we've got the release rates for the ag and the kind of brownish. It's a lot higher. So that's really all I have. Questions? Should we go right into it?
Anybody have any questions?
I guess the only thing I'd add to that is, you know, when we talk in SUDAS about pre-development rate, or when we talk about pre-settlement rate, we're usually describing the rate of flow. Neither one really speaks too much about volume.
Right.
You know, so like, if you are, like SUDAS says, you have to match a pre-development rate, which is ag land, but you may be releasing more volume of water,
Right.
even though you're meeting the ag rate.
Right.
So same thing with ISWAM, if you're reducing that to the natural rate, you still be maybe releasing more volume, but the kind of counterbalance is that the rate is lower. So if you maintain the rate that you're maintaining today, but you're discharging more water, we're likely to still see even worse impacts than just what happens in the rural landscape.
So what are you saying then with volume? That we should reduce volume as well?
No, I'm just saying if you're having the discussion about, you know, the question comes up, why are we asking someone to have a release rate that's lower than what it is today? Part of the discussion is also, well, still, you may release, you have the potential to release a greater volume of water. So it's not just,
It's almost a guarantee.
yeah, if you have the argument like, well, what if I just match what's today? Well, matching what today would be existing rate and existing volume.
Right.
And matching existing volume is a pretty hard thing to do.
Right.
So do you do this, where you say, I'm counterbalancing by lowering rate, but letting you do this? Or does the group say, you know, I mean, we're not dictating to what the group decides, you could say, well, match both, and that might be more difficult. It's just one of those things that comes up where people ask, well, why do I have to lower this more than it is today? So I just was adding that point that
And that really sets exactly what the small group discussion is about, is that discussion of determining what is that pre-rate that we're aiming towards. And I think as Greg said, you know, we're not dictating what the group decides, but I think he would suggest, even though step out, is that accomplishing volume of today would perhaps be quite difficult to do. So we'll jump into our small groups.